Arizona won the toss. They have elected to receive. Thus, Mike Nugent will kick off for the 8-1 Cincinnati Bengals. They play on natural grass here. They grow it outside and roll it in for the games. And back deep is J.J. Nelson, a rookie from Arizona, or from Alabama, Birmingham, who's about as fast as they come. And we'll see if he has an opportunity to run it back, which he will not, meaning Arizona will take over at the 20-yard line. And let's see their starters.
Carson Palmer, USC.
Chris Johnson, East Carolina.
Larry Fitzgerald, University of Pittsburgh.
John Brown, Pitt State.
Darren Fells, UC Irvine.
Jermaine Gresham, Oklahoma.
Jared Valdir, Hillsdale College.
Mike Upati, Idaho.
Lyle Senline, Texas.
Ted Larson, NC State.
Bobby Massey, Ole Miss.
And so great to see Upati back, because he was taken off the field in Seattle in an ambulance last Sunday. In the lineup tonight from the 20-yard line, Chris Johnson is the running back, and they start with play action, and they dump it off underneath to Fitzgerald, and Larry Fitzgerald starts the game with an 11-yard reception and a first down.
Michelle hit on it. Larry Fitzgerald blocks so much now that he kind of gets lost in there, so now they can use him like a tight end on some screens and get him out in the field of play. No question about it. Bruce Arians really appreciates what the old veteran has done for him as a blocker. He said, somebody blocks like that for you, you feed him.
Bruce Arians running as he did in Pittsburgh for many years. A beautifully designed offense. This team goes deep a lot, checks off a lot. They got a lot of things going, and a good running game as well. Palmer steps up and he gets jostled by Michael Johnson. So Johnson has been in on both plays, hassling the quarterback as he gets ready to throw, and it's 2nd down and 10.
Well, for Carson Palmer, what more could you ask out of him? 20-4, I guess, over the last couple of years. They might have won the Super Bowl last year if he hadn't gotten hurt.
#1 overall pick, won the Heisman Trophy at USC. Drafted by the Bengals in 2003 and then left there before the 2011 season. He came in along with Marvin Lewis, now in his 13th season as the head man in Cincinnati. And again, another play action pass. It's Fitzgerald who's able to spin around, get free, and comes close to picking up the first down. Jermaine Gresham, another former Bengal, led the way for Fitz.
Here we go. We're going to get a good block out here on the outside as they go right to work on the outside against Darquez Denard. He's taken over for Adam Jones, and what a block there by the former Bengal, Jermaine Gresham.
So 3 play action passes to start the game. First down up at the 42-yard line, and this time on the ground, swinging to the outside. Johnson, who played many years with Tennessee, had a 2,000-yard season in '09, played with the Jets last year, was on the street and then signed by Arizona in the middle of preseason.
Kind of the same look here that Mike Upati got hurt on last week. Cam Chancellor caught him right there around the corner. I do think that we'll see a little bit more of an outside game here this evening. There's Mike Upati going out already here early in this one.
When he went out last week, Earl Watford, number 78, came in, and that is the case here tonight. So 2nd down and 7 from the 45. This time Johnson to the outside, and that's a first down. So Arizona starts the game with 3 successive first downs. Vontez Burfict makes the tackle. They'll have it at the Cincinnati 46.
Ted Larson taking over at the right guard position here, but watch how Chris Johnson sets this up to the inside, gets the defender to jump there, and then jets back out to the outside. You don't run for 2,000 yards in a single season unless you have a little magic to you as a running back.
So for Arizona, with Cooper out, inactive tonight, Upati going out, they're minus both starting guards. From the 46. This time Johnson probes the left side. Nothing happening. Atkins makes the stop. Last week we saw Upati go to the hospital. Here was the play tonight. He had a concussion, so he had to work through that protocol, and he takes a shot in the helmet right there.
Yeah, and that's Ray Malaluga, one of the biggest hitters, and you see him shaking his arm like that. He had stingers on both sides of his neck last week and was knocked out So you wonder if those stingers returned.
2nd and 10 now at the 46-yard line. Andre Ellington, who had the game-capping run in Seattle last week. The play action fake to him, and then busting through is Geno Atkins. And so much of Cincinnati's defensive success tonight will be determined by Atkins and Dunlap putting the pressure on Palmer.
Well, there's no question when Geno Atkins returned for the Cincinnati Bengals, this became a different team. He is the interior pressure. He's the guy that when he gets pressure up the middle allows Michael Johnson and Carlos Dunlap to get pressure out around the edge. When he was hurt with that knee injury, it just wasn't the same.
10-yard sack. So after 3 straight first downs, Arizona now faced with a 3rd and 20. Palmer fires, and that's going to be picked off at the 35-yard line. The pass intended for Fitzgerald, and Leon Hall intercepts for Cincinnati. So the drive ends with a turnover, and the Bengals have the ball when we come back to Glendale. From the 35-yard line after the Hall interception, Andy Dalton's first play avoids the sack, takes off, flag thrown, gets to the 39, and we'll hear from the first time tonight from Terry McCauley, our referee.
Holding defense number 21. 5-yard penalty added to the end of the play. Automatic first down.
It's the all-pro corner, Patrick Peterson.
Well, you can't get any better than this matchup on the outside. Patrick Peterson against A.J. Green. They were drafted 1 slot apart. I'm sure Peterson's going to say, how about the little shove off on the tail end of that thing? And I would imagine they're going to be going at it all night. They're going to try and make life uncomfortable for Peterson. Bring him inside, some picks, some different things. Don't let him just sit outside.
Matchup with 4 guys, 2 guys in the league for 4 years each, and they've been to 4 Pro Bowls. And then sidestepping a tackle is Jeremy Hill for a gain of 8. Let's take a look at the Cincinnati starters.
Andy Dalton, TCU.
Jeremy Hill, Louisiana State University.
AJ Green, University of Georgia.
Marvin Jones Jr., Cal.
Tyler Eifert, Notre Dame.
Ryan Hewitt, Stanford.
Andrew Whitworth, LSU. Clint Boland, Georgia.
Russell Bodine, North Carolina.
Kevin Zeitler, Wisconsin.
Andre Smith Jr., University of Alabama.
Smith has missed a couple of games, so he is back in the lineup at right tackle. 2nd down and 2. And that'll be a first down. Picking up those 2 and a few inches more is Jeremy Hill, who had a big year last year, but a slow start this year. Andy Dalton started his first ever game as a Bengal back in 2011. Has not missed a start. 3rd longest streak in the history of the league for a QB to begin his career. Only Peyton Manning and Joe Flacco, who unfortunately is out for the season after he tore up his knee today, would have longer streaks from the beginning of their careers. Dalton empties the backfield here, and with a clean pocket fires, and that pass is on the ground. A.J. Green can't hold on. Let's take a look at the Arizona defense.
Frosty Rucker, USC.
Rodney Gunter, Delaware State.
Calais Campbell, the U.
Lamar Woodley, Michigan.
Deion Buchanan, Washington State.
Kevin Minner, LSU.
Alex Okafor, Texas.
Patrick Peterson, LSU.
Rashad Johnson, Alabama.
Tyron Matthew, LSU.
Gerard Powers, Auburn.
Matthew and Buchanan, a lot of fun to watch. 2 smaller guys who play all over the field. And Jeremy Hill picks up a couple before he gets bunched up at the 45-yard line. And then with a little extra happening at the end, you got Jeremy Hill and Frosty Rucker, a former Bengal, getting into it.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Taunting. Offense number 32 after the play. 15-yard penalty. 3rd down.
I don't think you can taunt Frosty Rucker. He's a lot bigger than you are. This has just been a tough year for Jeremy Hill. The end of this thing, there you go. That's all it takes. So you get a little something going on offense and you just give it away. Throw the football at it.
Well, the Bengals were partially self-destructed last Monday night because of all the penalties. Significant on both sides of the ball. Now Giovanni Bernard comes in to take Hill's spot in the backfield, and they give it to him on a draw. but he only gets a couple. That'll set up a punt. Deone Buchanan makes the tackle, and the Cardinals will get the ball back.
I think Deone Buchanan's one of the more remarkable stories in the league. He was drafted as a safety, weighs about 210 pounds. And Bruce Arians said, you know what? I really need a linebacker that can run to play inside there. Even his mom and dad didn't like it, but he has turned into some player shooting those gaps.
Kevin Huber's punt, fair catch called for, made by Peterson at the 21-yard line. Each team has had the ball once. 8 minutes to go in the quarter, no score. Well, they're still working on Yapati. Of course, it was great to see him come back, especially after that scary situation in Seattle last week. But now you wonder whether we will see him for any part of the rest of the game. From the 21-yard line, drive number 2 begins with Chris Johnson. To the 27, let's go to Michelle.
Well, Mike Yapati, Al, is questionable with a stinger, which is an irritation of the nerves generated through the neck. And they did a full assessment of all the nerves in his neck by testing the strength of his shoulders, his wrists, and a lot on his right arm. So again, that stinger is an irritation of the nerves coming out of the neck. Right now questionable, Al. All
right, thank you, Michelle. There he is. I'm sure he would like to get back into the game, but that does not look likely, at least in the immediate future. Ellington is the back now. That is Jerron Brown going in motion, setting in the slot. And they give it to Ellington, who had that burst around the left end last week in Seattle to seal that victory. And it will be 3rd down and short.
Yeah, amazing. Andre Ellington is averaging 7.5 yards per carry, and he's the backup guy. Of course, Chris Johnson has been playing so well, but so far this year, Ellington not only had the one against Seattle, 48-yarder last week, but a 63-yard touchdown against the Lions.
And there, number 31 is David Johnson, another running back, a rookie out of northern Iowa. So they've got 3 guys who can tote it. Right now, Ellington and Johnson are both in the backfield on 3rd down and 1. And they give it to the first guy through, and that is David Johnson, but he's going to get stuffed at the line of scrimmage. The 6'1", 225-pound rookie. And the Cincinnati Bengals have held 3 and out at the 30-yard line.
There's no question one of the real difference makers right here is Vontaze Burfict since he's come into the game. This guy, he came in against the Pittsburgh Steelers 3 games ago and off of an injury, and since that time 3 straight games allowing just 10 points. He is the difference maker on that defense.
Drew Butler, this is a good one. He's last in the league in gross and net punting average, but also a run back here by Brandon Tate. A flag is down, however. Tate gets tripped up at the 40-yard line. And about 96.8% of the time, the flag will be against the receiving team. So this baby will come back. Might be on Drake Kirkpatrick.
It wasn't even his guy that he ended up blocking. He was trailing somebody else. The gunner decided to let him go.
Illegal block in the back.
No question. Good call.
27. 10-yard penalty. 1st down. Timeout.
So there goes a 45-yard run back after a 55-yard boot. No score. That's your marquee one-on-one matchup tonight. Green and Peterson. Green selected 4th overall, and then 1 spot behind him, Arizona took Peterson. They've met in the Pro Bowl the last 4 years. Will they meet in Hawaii again this year? They'd rather meet in Santa Clara in the Super Bowl. From the 8-yard line after the penalty, Bengals are backed up. Crowd gets into it. And this drive begins with a 4-yard run by Giovanni Bernard out to the 12-yard line.
Giovanni Bernard has just had a sensational year. You just thought that Jeremy Hill, with the way he finished last year, over the last 9 games, he was the leading rusher in the NFL, the fantasy darling. And Giovanni Bernard's just outplayed him. And there's no other way of saying it. He's 5.5 yards per carry, 5th best in the league. Jeremy Hill, 3.2 yards per carry, 5th worst. So it's always difficult to take out a guy that's playing as well as Giovanni Bernard is.
Hill started the game with an 8-yard run. Then he had the taunting penalty, so he comes out. Then they swing it out to Bernard, and Bernard trying to get to that first down marker and comes very close, but a little bit short. 3rd down and 1. Powers knocks him out. There is Hugh Jackson. He's the offensive coordinator. He do a lot of fancy dancy stuff. See what he's got called for here on 3rd down and 1. His opposite number is the first-year defensive coordinator James Betcher. Cardinals. Todd Bowles was the defensive coordinator here last couple of years, and now, of course, is the head coach of the New York Jets.
Extra offensive lineman and Jake Fisher on the right side.
And a fullback. And a run blitz is on, and they're able to stop him. So each team's defense is able to stop the other on a 3rd down and 1 as we tick down to about the 4-minute mark remaining in the first quarter.
Look right over there, Frosty Rucker, who got the game ball a week ago against Seattle, comes in and takes out the fullback, Ryan Hewitt, and the running back with him. That was one heck of a play.
Pretty good 2-for-1. Huber to punt. And he sails this one in the direction of Peterson, who makes a fair catch at the 36-yard line. 3:46 remaining in the first quarter in Arizona. No score on Sunday Night Football. Beautiful weekend in Greater Phoenix. Carson Palmer, who missed 10 games last year with a pair of injuries. Very clean pocket, deep downfield, and that's picked off again by Reggie Nelson, the 2nd interception. And Nelson, with a flag down, takes it back to the 35-yard line. And the flag is down behind the line of scrimmage. And Terry McCauley with a call.
Illegal formation. Offense. Wide receiver covered the tight end. Penalties decline. 1st down for Cincinnati.
I don't know what Carson saw there. I just be honest. There's 2 deep safeties down there. His receiver is going to come across the middle. I'm sure he thought he was going to go to the post, but even if he goes to the post, there's nothing there. Reggie Nelson was deeper than everybody on the back end of the field. Those are 2 very non-Carson Palmer-like throws so far this season.
Came in with 23 touchdowns and 7 picks. So he's thrown 2 picks in the quarter. Ball at the 36-yard line with 3.5 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Dalton deep downfield, and that will be hauled in on the run by Green. Powers that time was covering him, and not Peterson, and he beats him down the sideline. And that is a gain of 42 yards.
The first time all night they didn't have Patrick Peterson on him, and Gerard Powers gave up a touchdown against Seattle a week ago. He's been struggling with a hamstring injury. The minute Andy Dalton sees one-on-one with A.J. Green and anybody, he's going to take a shot. That was a gift.
A one-time gift, probably. Now Peterson is back on Green with the ball at the 22-yard line. And Bernard takes the ball to the 20-yard line for a gain of a couple. So Dalton and Green come in together in 2011. Take a look at their rankings vis-a-vis the rest of the league. 3rd in the league in completions, 3rd in yardage over those 4.5 seasons, 37 touchdowns, a lot of long completions, but 30 interceptions as he goes Green's way.
A lot of injuries, Al, I think, kept him throwing to A.J. because there really weren't other weapons.
2nd and 8, swinging out to Bernard, and he skirts a tackle, picks up a 1st down. So Alex Okafor almost had him after a short gain. Instead, he sweeps by him and picks up 11 first down.
Not a good start so far for Carson Palmer against his own team, old team, I should say, but it has been a terrific start so far for Giovanni Bernard. Every time he gets in a little bit of space for the Cincinnati Bengals, he's making something happen. Cardinals knew that was the plan with him, and they can't stop it.
Now you got Sanu in the backfield, and Dalton splits out wide, and Sanu will dive into the end zone for a touchdown. Flag is down. So Hugh Jackson has a lot of stuff in that playbook.
Offense number 71. 10-yard penalty, first down.
But what he didn't account for is Andre Smith on a hold. So Mohamed Sanu, who has a great arm, they use him in a wildcat from time to time. You have Dalton out to the left, and there goes the touchdown.
Yeah, 5 touchdown passes in his career. But watch this. This is an easy block. Andre Smith has the angle. No reason to hold here. That should be a piece of cake for Andre Smith, and ends up getting the touchdown call back. You said it, Al. This is a little bit reminiscent of a week ago. Here we go. Here's another bit of a razzle-dazzle.
Yeah, this is the way they started the game against Houston, and now they go more conventional as they bring the linemen back inside. Bernard is the running back. The play clock is down to 4. And Dalton avoids a sack on the run, and he'll just run out of bounds after a short game, chased by Rodney Gunter. It'll be second down and goal.
Well, for Andy Dalton, the one thing that Marvin Lewis wanted out of him this year, and Hugh Jackson, the offensive coordinator, wasn't anything physical, wasn't anything he was doing, throwing the ball or anything. They wanted him to take over this football team. They wanted him to be Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. They wanted him to be his team this year, and he's embraced it.
Second and goal from the 15. Over the middle, open, makes the catch to the 3-yard line, goes Bernard, tackled by Buchanan, and it will now be third and goal.
The big guy you've got to take away for the Bengals down here is Tyler Eifert. He gets a double team, which leaves a lot of space in here for Giovanni Bernard. Just one-on-one, you can forget about it. No way Kevin Minter can make that. Here's the double team on the back end of this thing. 9 touchdown passes, taking him away first.
And on 8 of them, he was already in the end zone when he made the catch. Only 1 run in. Third and goal from the 3. And Dalton will fire, and that will be caught for a touchdown. Tyler Eifert again into the end zone. So what a red zone combination that has been. And Palmer watches his pick, and the turnover turned into a Cincinnati touchdown.
Just like we were talking about with A.J. Green, you leave Tyler Eifert one-on-one down here. Double team last time, one-on-one here. I guarantee you Tyler Eifert could not be happier about that catch after the week he had last week. He's been so brilliant all year. Had 3 really key drops, and looked like, in his own words, he told us, he said, I don't know what happened to me. I had the yips.
Got position on Tony Jefferson, the safety. Now Mike Nugent for the extra point. As the Cardinals go 64 yards, 7 plays. He had the big 42-yarder to Green to help set it up. Paid off by Eifert, and Cincinnati leads 7-0. There's your TD combo right there. And on the other sideline, the Cardinals, very uncharacteristically, with those 2 turnovers, both interceptions thrown by Palmer, ready to get the ball back in the waning seconds of the first quarter. And before Mike Nugent can get it in the air, the roof is open, but there's no wind in here. Beautiful night. Just fell off the tee. They grow the grass outside, roll it in, and they don't open the roof very often. They did for the Super Bowl here last year, and it was a gorgeous night, especially for the Patriots and Malcolm Butler. And David Johnson for the touchback.
Carson Palmer has been one of the leading candidates of MVP of the league. He tried to look off the safety there, but it was just never available. Leon Hall has this one played perfectly, and it was almost like Carson Palmer didn't see it. Now, I'm sure that J.J. Nelson, the rookie, ran the wrong route here, but look how deep Reggie Nelson was for the Bengals, and Bruce Arians saying, what is going on here?
Well, he gets Upati back, so Mike came out with that stinger, is back in the lineup now at left guard. Begin this drive from the 20-yard line. Chris Johnson is the running back. And Johnson will go nowhere. That should take us to the second quarter. Michael Johnson makes the tackle. So 2 turnovers, one of them leading to a touchdown. And we have played 1 quarter in Glendale, Arizona, with the score Cincinnati 7 and Arizona nothing. And Sunday Night Football resumes after these messages.
Waiting all day for Sunday night.
2nd and 10 from the 20-yard line. Carson Palmer gives the ball off to Johnson. Gain of 2. You go back to Cincinnati in 2002. They had 12 consecutive seasons without a winning record, so they made a lot of changes. Dick LeBeau out. Marvin Lewis came in. They had the #1 pick in the draft. That turned out to be Carson Palmer. And then they won a couple of division titles between 05 and 09. Then Palmer demanded a trade and got one in October, going to the Raiders 2 years there and then on to Arizona. So Marvin Lewis has been there for 13 seasons now. Only Bill Belichick has been with his team longer. Belichick now in his 16th in New England.
Get a feel, baby, get a feel.
And this is John Brown. And Brown will pick up a first down. A flag at the end of the play, right in front of the Arizona bench. Terry McCauley conferring with his aides.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense number 21, late hit out of bounds. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That was Denard taking the spot normally occupied by Adam Jones. You know, Chris, you're one of the few people that can really relate to what Palmer went through. Everybody says when a guy has a squabble with ownership, it's about money. This was not about money when Palmer went to Mike Brown in 2011.
No, he wanted change inside the organization. He said it just has not been working. We haven't been winning here. We have to start doing things differently. And he threw out some examples in Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And then Marvin Lewis was on the other side of that coin. He said, I was in Pittsburgh and Baltimore. It's not that much different than what we're doing here. But it didn't matter. Carson had sort of made up his mind that if he didn't get change, he was out of there. It was about 4 or 5 games into that season, and finally the deal was made.
5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Defensive hands to the face call. That'll be a first down. You saw Mike Brown, the owner of the team, in the window behind us as we were talking about him. Of course, the son of Paul Brown, the fabled coach and the man for whom the Cleveland Browns was named. And there's Mike in his early 80s, still running the show.
Yeah, and they went out to, Marvin Lewis went out to San Diego to visit Carson Palmer, and he tried to slide the playbook underneath him, and Carson slid it back to him. He said, I'm serious, I'm not coming back. And that's when they decided they had to draft a quarterback and drafted Andy Dalton.
False start, offense number 23. 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's Chris Johnson to make it a 1st and 15. Well, as Palmer said, we're a couple of stubborn guys.
He admitted it, and he said, you know, I guess one of us thought the other one was going to bend and the other one didn't. You know, Marvin makes a pretty good point, Lewis, in talking about Mike Brown. He's a guy that's willing to change. He's listening, but you can't go in and bull rush him, and because he's going to put his feet down and he's not going to move an inch. But he did not want to trade Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer is one of his favorite players.
And the draw, and one of his favorite players on that play would be Geno Atkins. Let's take a look or listen to what Palmer had to say about Mike Brown.
He and I strongly disagreed, and he's a very stubborn man. I'm a very stubborn man. That's all it is a complete disagreement on what needed to change and what didn't need to change. And I dug my feet in the ground, and the change wasn't going to happen. And so I retired for a month and a half.
Yeah. Now Palmer in his 13th season and maybe his best, but it's 2nd down and 18. Cardinals trying to get something going, and the ball is on the ground at the 50-yard line as Johnson fumbles it, and they're able to recover it. So another almost near turnover for the Cardinals. Bobby Massey, the right tackle, saves the day, number 70.
one thing that you see out of David Johnson, if you watch these guys practice, is he can really catch the ball. That was a little startling. I'm not sure he really ever had complete possession of that one. Let's look. I don't think anybody knocked it out. I think it just sort of fell out.
So it's really a fumble and a recovery by Arizona, but it's 3rd down and 16 as they go 5 wide from midfield. And Palmer will step up, fire, and that's caught inside the 30 for a first down. J.J. Nelson, the rookie who was inactive last week, injured his shoulder earlier in the season, as fast as they come. Gain of 23.
2 backup guards in the game, Ted Larson and Earl Watford, and they're going to get it done against a very good pass rush team with the Bengals. And go figure, J.J. Nelson kind of got lost on the one route, and now they come right back and do a back shoulder like they've been playing together for 10 years or something.
And Yapati is back in. He's coming in and out. They needed 16 on the 3rd down, got 23. The ball at the 27-yard line. They're going to run an end around here with John Brown. And John Brown will be pushed out of bounds at the 21, gain of about 6. George Iloka makes the tackle. It'll be 2nd down and 4.
Now, 2 of the fastest guys in all of football on this Arizona Cardinals team. John Brown certainly being one. He's coming off a hamstring injury, and we watched him in Seattle last week. Al, he just didn't have the same kind of pop that he typically does. And J.J. Nelson, the other 2 of the fastest guys we've ever seen at the combine. Of course, Chris Johnson did okay too, the running back.
2nd and 4 from the 21-yard line. And trying to burst forward, but still a yard shy. Chris Johnson tackled by Reggie Nelson. 3rd down and 1.
I think that is probably the most impressive thing that Chris Johnson has done since he's come here. You knew he could run the stretch plays, you knew he could make those cuts, and he had the speed and all that. But he has done a terrific job this year just putting his head down and running and power running inside. They did not anticipate that. Steve Keim, the general manager, said, I knew he could do a lot of things. I didn't know he was willing to do that.
He's on pace for about a 1,300 or 1,400-yard season. Averages 4.4 per carry. And now you've got Palmer off the play fake, and he's going to go for it all on the 3rd and 1, and it will be hauled in for a touchdown by Darren Fells, the tight end. $18-yard touchdown. The big play, of course, was the completion to Nelson on a 3rd and 16, and Fells makes it pay off at the end.
You can't do it better than that. Carson Palmer, a perfect throw out to the former basketball player. Darren Fells did not even play college football. He was a professional basketball player after college, and that's what he did. He would go out and rebound just like that. Great play.
6'7" beats the 6' even Sean Williams on the play. And on the extra point to tie the game, Chandler Catanzaro. But before that, they're going to push him back 5 yards.
False start, offense number 70. 5-yard penalty, try.
Well, that rule change has worked out pretty well because they've missed so many extra points this season. Still making about 95%. But it does lend a little element of drama to it.
No question about it. Some of those game-winning or game-tying extra points at the end have a little drama now.
That was a great rules change. So is 3-on-3 in overtime hockey, but that's for another day. This is a 38-yard extra point, and that's good. So they will go 80 yards in 10 plays. Do the Cardinals to knot it at 7 in the desert on Sunday Night Football. Touchback here. And the Bengals get it at the 20 when we come back to Glendale, Arizona. Head-to-head tonight. Only one time has the ball been thrown to Green when he's been covered by Peterson. And the one time they put Powers on Green, they went right to him for a 42-yard gain.
Yeah, and they shifted to that. They brought A.J. Green across the formation. Patrick Peterson didn't come with him, so Andy Dalton threw him the ball.
From the 20-yard line, this drive begins with Bernard. Gain of 2.
Well, Patrick Peterson's done just fine against A.J. Green. As you said, they played against each other in the Pro Bowl. Both of them made it all 4 years that they've been in the league. But the one time they flipped it over and Gerard Powers got him, there was no doubt in my mind where that ball was going.
.9:15 left in the half. 2nd down and 8 from the 22-yard line. And with Hill back in the game, he picks up 2, 3rd and 6. We go to Michelle.
Well, Patrick Peterson told me his goal tonight was to disrupt A.J. Green's timing, even by a 1/10 of a second, which he said would have an impact. He said Green is handling the jam at the line of scrimmage differently this season, so Peterson planned on timing his punch up and presenting different looks, and he says covering a top receiver means I've got to be focused every minute of the game now.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Marquee matchup in the game. Bernard back in the game at the running back spot. Crowd trying to disrupt the signals on a 3rd down and 6. Dalton stepping away, has some room, and Andy's got enough room to roam. Pick up the 1st down as he toe dances out of bounds up at the 36-yard line. It's a gain of 11 yards and a 1st down for the Bengals.
Oh, Andy's going to take a look over there at the marquee matchup. On the outside, right there it is. Not much there. Good job by Peterson. You get the 5 yards to be as physical as you want. And Andy Dalton somehow escaped that maze to pick up a 1st down. That was just a great individual play by Dalton.
He's carried the ball 3 times tonight for 17 yards. At the moment, he'd be their leading rusher. That's a little backward pass, and he flagged down up to the 42-yard line. That's Bernard. Bengals have already been penalized 5 times tonight.
Foul, unnecessary roughness. Offense number 71, leg whip. 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
There's another penalty on Andre Smith, who had a very costly one before, leg whip here. It's number 6 penalties, 6 penalties against Cincinnati.
It's a new rule. You can cut block on right here, but you can't roll over. This is where so many guys have been getting hurt in years gone by. Once you roll over like that, it is a penalty. Good job by the officials.
Marvin Lewis exasperated there. Meanwhile, Bernard comes out of the game, taking his helmet off on the sideline. Jeremy Hill is the back, but that penalty makes it a 1st down and 25.
First, charge timeout, Cincinnati.
All right, first timeout against Cincinnati, and take a look at how Bernard got shaken up on this his 24th birthday.
Yeah, I think it was Peterson that got underneath him, probably surprised him a bit, and just couldn't fall gracefully, in part because Xavier Williams was on his back as well. Very sharp young man. He really is. He's a guy that understands protections, knows what he's doing. He's a small guy, no doubt. Jeremy Hill is a better pass protector than he is. But when you get that guy out in space, a lot of great things happen. They sort of changed the offense a little bit this year. Jeremy Hill, they had a lot of 2 tight ends, fullback stuff last year, and that worked really well. But this season, a lot more of the 3 wide receiver sets with Bernard in there, and that's been their better look this season.
1st down and 25. Blitz coming.
Whoa.
Picked it up, and then the pass is thrown out of bounds. Kevin Minter that time came flying
Sure
through.
did.
2nd and 25.
Oh my goodness, he just ran straight over Jeremy Hill. Every time I put on one of the tapes of the Arizona Cardinals, Kevin Minter is doing exactly that. He doesn't have a move in his repertoire. He just does that, and he runs a straight line right through the running backs, right to the quarterback.
Each of those guys, Minter and Hill, teammates at LSU. 2nd down and 25. And Hill will take this one out to the 28-yard line.
There have just been huge mistakes so far to start this game. Penalties seem to be what's driven the Bengals out of opportunities. And then on the other side, the turnovers by Carson Palmer. And finally, this crowd's starting to wake up just a little bit as well.
3rd down 19. Bernard comes back into the game. There's the wake-up call right there. Six and a half minutes remaining in the half. And Dalton dancing around, fires on the run, knocked away at the 40-yard line. Patrick Peterson intended for Green. 4th down.
It is amazing to me how much better Patrick Peterson is this year.
Holding defense number 44. 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
So Marcus Golden away from the play, not even in the play. And instead of 4th and 19, here's Peterson first on the replay.
Just perfect coverage, lets him go after 5 yards. Still physical play between those two. Let's see if we can pick up. There's Golden right there. No, he just grabbed the jersey of Andre Smith.
Wow. Killer type of penalty. From a 4th and a mile to a 1st down. And Jeremy Hill is back in at running back. Dalton keeping it, pumping twice, and then running into the Arizona bench. So nobody open. Andy totes it again.
Oh, there was somebody open. Watch this. Just a little blown coverage. They go here. And AJ at the end of this is going, you got to be kidding me. Haven't been that open in a long, long time.
Second and 7. This time Peterson on Sanu and trailing him. Keep it on the ground. And Hill with a burst up to the 39-yard line. Minter makes the tackle.
Every single time that I watch one of these games, and Dayon Buchanan at 210 pounds playing linebacker, his only way of surviving in there is he just shoots the gaps. Eventually he's going to run into somebody. You know, he makes a lot of plays, but you just wonder, can't you get play action against him? Can't you do something? Leading tackler on the team. Remarkable story.
Can't be back on your heels when you're 205 pounds and playing linebacker. He plays offense on defense. 3rd down and 3. Dalton rolling out again. And he fires on the run, and that is caught. Marvin Jones, but Peterson's going to say, come on, offensive interference, and you do get a flag here.
He stepped out of bounds. I'm pretty sure that Marvin Jones stepped out of bounds, and that's what happened. He sort of got bumped out.
Illegally touching the pass. Offense number 82 went out of bounds, came back in, and was first to touch the pass. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Right down here at the bottom. It was close, but the good call right there. That's a heck of a throw by Andy Dalton. It looked like he was completely blanketed and threw it anyway and just stepped out by a few inches.
So 3rd down and 8. Against Cincinnati, the Bengals shooting themselves in the foot on Monday night against Houston. And tonight, 7 penalties for 73 yards in the first half. Third and 8 at the 33. Here comes the blitz. And the pass on the outside is hauled in by A.J. Green, going up in the air, had position on Peterson, and they convert. 1st down.
Boy, I tell you, that's a great job. If A.J. Green got both feet down, I'm going to be really impressed. He had to slam that right foot down to get it down. Makes the catch. One's down. I guess anyway, his butt What do they say? One knee equals 2 feet. Is that what your old partner used to say? Well, one butt's the same thing.
John Madden wrote a book about it. One tush. The first down now. This is Hill for a gain of 9 yards into Arizona territory. Rashad Johnson makes the tackle. It'll be 2nd down and 1. And Green needs some time on the sideline.
Pretty nice job here by Tyler Eifert, who by his own admissions, not necessarily a blocking tight end, but when you get this kind of angle and a guy who's actually smaller than you are, then they're starting to work some of those double teams over there now. Andre Smith, a very good run blocker if he can get on his game. A slow start so far for him with the penalties though.
2nd and 1, and Hill might have enough as he's able to angle his way for what appears to be a first down at the 45-yard line, and the next play will be run with under 3 minutes to go in the half. Well, they're going to spot it back at the 45-yard line. They're not going to give him the forward progress they thought he might have gotten. It's the 3rd down and inches now. Hugh Jackson calling in the play. Hill is the running back, and Dalton's going to keep it himself and back his way down to the 42-yard line for a first down.
Boy, I tell you, there was a huge collision inside between Kevin Zeitler, Russell Bodine, and I wasn't sure. Was it Mentor come flying up here? Watch this collision. Just put him on his back, and that's exactly what you're hoping for right there. You're going to fire those gaps. You get a knockout blow and you get a first down.
From the 43. Good clean pocket. Deep downfield and incomplete. You had Powers covering Marvin Jones on the play. And that takes us to the 2-minute warning with 1:57 to go in the half. 7-7 in Arizona. Second down and 10. 1:57. The ball is at the 43-yard line. And a little dump off to Bernard with a convoy inside the 20. And Giovanni Bernard takes it all the way down to the 2-yard line.
What a great call by Hugh Jackson on that one. Had the tendency, saw the blitz, dump it down, the screen pass against that all-out blitz. They're coming from everywhere here, and there just is nobody. So many times, if 2 linebackers come to the same side.
74 is an eligible receiver, 74 eligible.
When 2 linebackers come to the same side, if the back slips out, there's nobody to cover him. Interesting.
He almost got into the end zone.
I think Marvin says, take a look at that.
Well,
I'm not sure he ever hit.
Yeah, they take it. You can't challenge, but he's calling a timeout to have them take an extra look.
Sometimes you take a chance on defense, fire both outside people, and there's nobody here to pick up Giovanni Bernard. Mentor took a chance that he was going to block on the outside Dwight Freeney. They turned around for a screen, and there was just nobody home.
Pretty scary, too. A little shot put throw right there when you see Andrew Whitworth coming your way into the secondary, leading the way, number 77. First and goal, confirmed that he was down at the 2. Jeremy Hill is the running back. Hewitt is the fullback. Jones comes in motion. And the handoff goes to Hill, and he chugs his way into the end zone to give them the lead. So they put the fullback in there, Hewitt. He goes right in behind him, and Cincinnati is back on top.
Well, now they're starting to get back to who they are as a team. You get Andre Smith with the power block inside right down here, and watch this block right here by another wide receiver. Looks a little like Larry Fitzgerald. Marvin Jones with a good lead block to get him into the end zone.
So the big play on that drive was the penalty. They originally assessed the penalty. They called 44 Marcus Golden, but they have changed it. It was Kevin Minter, 51, who got the penalty on that 3rd down and 19 on the holding call, which kept this drive alive. Nugent for the extra point. And with 67 seconds to play in the opening half, the Cincinnati Bengals trying to make it 9 out of 10, leading the Cardinals 14-7. David Johnson. And Johnson keeps on moving and takes it out to the 26-yard line.
Well, for the Cardinals, it has been once again a team that has done so well keeping the ball. 9 turnovers now in the last 3 games, including tonight. They had 2 more turnovers than their opponent in the last 2, 1 each of them. But here they are once again, 2 more turnovers, and really kind of the difference in the game.
So they have all 3 of their timeouts. You have 60 seconds. And Cincinnati will get the ball to start the second half.
Larry Fitzgerald early on and not much since.
They caught a couple of passes on the first drive of the game. Pretty silent since. Palmer fires over the middle, and that's incomplete. Pass intended for Fells. Second down and 10.
They definitely are going to go to work on Bobby Massey on the right-hand side here. Von Miller and Carlos Dunlap are buddies, and he called Von Miller to see, well, how do you take care of Bobby Massey? So he had a little scouting report out there, but Dunlap has 8.5 sacks, ranks 3rd in the NFL right now, and he's never had 10. That's his goal. He wanted to get the 10. Matter of fact, he had 10 one time, and the NFL came in and looked at the stats and took a half a sack away. I don't think he's ever gotten over it.
Second and 10. Palmer in the pocket and almost has a 3rd pick here. That was Emmanuel Lemure who got his hands on it and could not secure it. 3rd down and 10.
Emmanuel Lemure is the guy that they put in pass situations. Here he is going to turn and then flip back around and almost get this one. A very athletic guy in there. Let's see if there's any sort of contact we don't like here. Nope.
Well, the Cincinnati defense giving up the fewest points in the league, and they've really done a job on Palmer tonight. Meanwhile, Nelson is shaken up. Palmer is 6 out of 11 for 76 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks. Jerron Brown in the game out of the slot. And to the outside, that'll be caught, but well short of the first down, so Andre Ellington makes the catch. But it's 4th down, meaning they'll have to give the ball back. And the Bengals do not have a timeout.
But it helps the Bengals if they can get a decent punt return. I don't know how aggressive they would be with a 7-point lead, but get a decent punt return, you might take a little shot, see if you can get a field goal.
Right now, 47 seconds. Brandon Tate running back the punts because of Adam Jones being inactive tonight. Very short kick. Fielded at the 32-yard line. There's a flag down. What else is new? Run back to the 37-yard line. Waiting on Terry McCauley. And we're working on the arm of Josh Shaw. We're seeing some action at cornerback tonight. Work on him. We wait for McCauley.
There is no foul for defense, 12 men on the field. First down, Cincinnati.
All right. After that, so you get 36 seconds. Thanksgiving Thursday. We have a game for you Thanksgiving night. John Madden's going to pick the player of the game. There are some of the traditional turkey legs that get awarded after Thanksgiving night. And we're going to go to Green Bay from here. The weather will be about the same. Brett Favre will have his uniform number retired. At halftime, we will be at Lambeau Field on Thursday night. What a scene that's going to be.
It is going to be madness there. I'm just glad it's finally the family's back together again. All the stuff, he went to Minnesota. I was like, it's silly. The Packers didn't even want him.
Right. Dalton dancing around, fires to the outside. And not getting out of bounds, so that's going to probably take the clock almost all the way down. Here is Bernard, since they can't stop it. 20 seconds and still ticking down, and Cincinnati apparently will be content to let it run out, go back into the locker room, and they will receive the second half kickoff. So despite 7 penalties for 73 yards, they do a great job on Palmer. The defensive half. Bengals get the kickoff.
That was a sleepy first half for a very good Cardinals team.
Very. Start with a touchback. To the 20-yard line goes the Bengals.
Well, you talked about it. It was big pass plays that set up this. First of all, the 3rd and 19, a huge break for the Bengals. Sort of a little marginal holding call there they were given. That gave them the first down, and then tried to get cute with the blitz, and there was nobody home. Andrew Whitworth led the way, and then Jeremy Hill finished it off at the end of it. So big pass plays led to both Bengals touchdowns.
Andy Dalton from the 20-yard line. And they start with a 1-yard run by Jeremy Hill, and we go to Michelle.
Well, Marvin Lewis was clearly frustrated at halftime with those 7 penalties. He goes, we have got to overcome those penalties. Then I spoke to Bruce Arians, asked him about Carson Palmer. He described him as off, out of sync. He said, we're trying to settle him. He was trying to force some things that weren't there, and we can help him by running the ball better, Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Bruce could be an analyst. That's a perfect description of Palmer.
Yeah, he was off, and it was funny. After those 2 sack fumbles a week ago, they came out a couple of quick throws to get him going, and it worked. Whoops.
2nd and 9. Green was the intended receiver. Peterson, of course, covering on the play. 3rd down and 9.
I mean, there have just been some throws and things that have happened in this game so far. You kind of just scratch your head, and these are some of the best quarterbacks, best receivers in the game. I just wonder if a little bit of Carson Palmer not having Michael Floyd in there, who has been so hot lately. Larry Fitzgerald got some balls to him early, but not much late.
No, he had 2 on the first drive, and that's been it. Now 3rd down and 9. Showing blitz and backing off. And Dalton is going to throw deep downfield and out of bounds. So it's a 3 and out to give Arizona the ball back early in the second half.
Much better job there on the inside. Once again, Giovanni Bernard looked like he was just one-on-one. I couldn't tell if that was Deone Buchanan or not, but matched up pretty well on that one.
We had a late flag as McCauley goes over the penalty here. Terry McCauley making the call.
Illegal contact. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
So away from the play, illegal contact. And instead of getting the ball right back, it's a first down for Cincinnati. What do we see?
Let's take a look here and see if we get anything on Patrick Peterson or not. And maybe it hooked him a little bit and pulled the shoulder pad, but
yeah, you always wonder when the referee doesn't announce the number, who is it? Now
look at that.
A little lateral back to Hill on some slight razzle dazzle, and that's a gain of 6 yards.
That's the veer. I used to run that in high school. You come sprinting straight down the line, and in theory you're going to read somebody, but there was nobody, and Andy really didn't want the ball. He wanted to get rid of it anyway, so he just pitched it out there. But I tell you, with Hugh Jackson, you will see a little bit of everything. Hugh Jackson enjoys drawing them up on the board, and he is generating a little interest himself for some head coaching jobs around.
Well, he had the head coaching job at Oakland. In fact, he was the guy who traded for Dalton, or for Palmer, when Carson was ready to sit out. Meanwhile, the play clock is down to 3 on 2nd down and 4. The play clock at 1, and they just do get it off, and the pass is incomplete. Coverage very tight, intended for A.J. Green. 3rd down and 4. You have Buchanan popping him as the pass arrived.
Here we go, right there. It was a pretty high hit on that one. Let's see. That is helmet to helmet and should have been called.
But wasn't, making it 3rd down and 4 at the 32-yard line. Dalton has to throw on the run, under pressure, forced out and incomplete. He had Frosty Rucker and Marcus Golden putting the heat on. 4th down.
You know, once Patrick Peterson has been on A.J. Green, he really has done a number on him tonight. He's sort of tied him up, and it's really remarkable to see how much difference there is in Patrick Peterson this year after that type 2 diabetes scare a season ago, and he just is in shape, and he has been playing sensational football.
He's back to receive this kick. Huber. Good deep kick, fielded at the 11-yard line. And Patrick Peterson comes all the way across the field, and he's out of bounds at the 21 after a 57-yard boot and a 10-yard run back.
What a difference Geno Atkins makes for the Cincinnati Bengals defense. So disruptive inside, play after play. Had a huge first half. Of course, Arizona Cardinals playing with backup guards in there, and Atkins able to take full advantage. Short yardage plays, just overpowering. And he has that little step of quickness. He just has a little bit of an ability to slide by, almost like a running back sometimes. And that is not a guy you volunteer to block right there, Geno Atkins.
That defense 11th in giving up yardage, but 1st in scoring. So now you've got the end around with John Brown up to the 23. It's the classic, it's the old cliche, bend don't break. If you're 11th in yards allowed but you're 1st in scoring, you're giving up a ton of yardage. And there is Paul Guenther, who is in his 3rd year now as the Bengals defensive coordinator. Mike Zimmer had that job, and then Zimmer went to Minnesota, and they promoted from within. He's done a great job.
Well, basically, though, it's been the same style of defense now for a long period of time, and Guenther is a guy, he really is much more of a teacher kind of a guy. He explains everything he wants his players to do, and they really appreciate it.
And happy 44th birthday to Paul Guenther. 2nd down and 7. Palmer fires, and off the hands of Fitzgerald. Larry cutting across the middle.
Yeah, that was tipped, though, by Vincent Ray.
Yep, yeah. Vinny Ray got a hand on it. 3rd down and 7.
Vincent Ray and Emmanuel Lemur, those are the coverage guys that come in when they get into these situations. Guenther really, he goes very deep into his roster. There is not hardly anybody that's not having some kind of a role, and nice job there that time by Upati.
3rd down and 7 at the 23-yard line. Ellington in the backfield. Palmer floats one, and that'll be caught. Inbounds is John Brown for a 1st down. Worked an out route on Leon Hall, got position, moved the sticks.
Watch Carson Palmer in the pocket here. He really has gotten very good at this. When he gets under pressure, he kind of does this little shoulders tuck and then reestablishes and throws the ball. And they really need something out of John Brown. They need somebody to step up and be a threat other than Larry Fitzgerald in this game. They are missing Michael Floyd.
Palmer still hasn't thrown for over 100 yards tonight. 8 of 14 for 94. Off play action, ton of time. Now he's going to go deep downfield. Has a man caught, Nelson, and he's in for the touchdown. 64 yards to the speedy rookie.
You can never be completely sure, but I think George Iloka got a little sniffy on the other side on Larry Fitzgerald. It looked like a 2-deep zone, and if that's the case, he should have been back deep to cover that up. And Carson Palmer, that was just a perfectly thrown ball.
And that's the first touchdown of the rookie's career, picked in the 5th round out of Alabama Birmingham.
Bruce Arians said, I expect this guy to have a breakout game here pretty soon, and he has picked a great moment for it.
Did he ever?
And now Iloka, indeed, hearing it from Marvin Lewis on the sideline. No reason to jump up there in that coverage.
Catanzaro for the extra point. So a big third down conversion to Brown, and then a 64-yard touchdown pass to Nelson. And the game is tied at 14. And it's taken in the end zone down there by Pierman, and back we go to the touchdown.
Yeah, George Iloka has half the field right here. You can see definitely too deep. And as you come across here goes Fitzgerald, and for some reason Iloka jumps that. There was just no reason whatsoever. Just had no idea J.J. Nelson was screaming down the backside of his coverage. Reggie Nelson tried to cover him up. There's Bobby Massey doing a good job there as Carson slid around on Geno Atkins.
All right, from the 20-yard line now, first down. Straight drop, and Dalton in the pocket. Fires incomplete, intended for Marvin Jones. It'll be second down.
Boy, it is just hard for a back to block Kevin Minter. It just time after time after time, and really Jeremy Hill, without question, is their best blocking back. And every time they fire him in there, he's just going to run over somebody. He should be a fullback.
Toss, Hill. Bottled up there. Frosty Rucker in on the tackle. It'll be third down and 8.
You know, Frosty Rucker is a former Bengal as well. He came out a little bit emotional and fired up for this game. He was sort of that tweener. He wasn't quite fast enough to be a defensive end, wasn't quite big enough to be a defensive tackle, and they found him a little speed position in there. And he's making a lot of plays now.
Yeah, he's been around for a while, 10 years in the league, played for Pete Carroll back at USC. Third down and 8. From the 22-yard line, Dalton hit as he throws, and the pass is incomplete. Calais Campbell came flying through to knock him to the ground, and it's fourth down.
Bruce Arians going to be happy about that one. Calais Campbell right there, I do believe. Up on the other side, I'm sorry. On the top side of it, but he was on Calais Campbell for not producing the way that he has in the past with pressure. But Patrick Peterson down the field has been all over A.J. Green. He is winning that battle.
Kevin Huber's last punt was 57 yards. This one is shorter, fielded at the 28-yard line. Peterson looking for a lean, and takes it back to the 34 after a 50-yard boot and a 6-yard run back. 14 all in Glendale, AZ. Bruce Arians, quite a story. Third year as the head coach here in Arizona, assistant for Bear Bryant 3 decades ago at Alabama. He was the head coach at Temple for 6 seasons. 20 years as an assistant coach for 5 teams. We think of him mainly as the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. And then hired here, he took over for Chuck Pagano when Pagano got sick in Indianapolis in 2012. Wound up as the coach of the year, then won another coach of the year award. Fascinating guy who looked like he was retired when Pittsburgh did not renew his contract, aka got fired.
Yeah, I was going to say fired,
a couple of years
retired.
ago.
Yeah, just a couple letter difference in that.
From the 34, Chris Johnson is the running back. And you know, there's this old cliche about a player's coach, which isn't what most people think it is. How would you describe a player's coach, which is what Arians is?
Well, I think Steve Keim, the general manager, said it right. So you hold him accountable. And that's exactly what he's done. He seems like such a fun-loving kind of a guy, and he's funny and he's entertaining. Press conferences are great and all that kind of stuff. But when you mess up around him, you hear about it. And he is not afraid to hold, whether it's Carson Palmer on down the line, Larry Fitzgerald, all of them get held to that same standard.
Well, it's a good blend because Palmer, as you know, is a perfectionist. So is Fitzgerald. And that pass is caught. Speaking of Palmer and Fitzgerald, there they go to connect for a first down. Even when they play well, they're always looking for, hey, what did we do that was just slightly off?
They don't do too much that's off. There's Michael Bidwell, Steve Keim, the general manager on your right. And they came in here with a plan. And the biggest thing, according to Michael Bidwell, that happened was they got this stadium built.
Sure.
100 straight games now of a sellout. And because of the extra revenue you get from luxury boxes in a stadium like this, he said, we got a chance to do everything first class. Go get the players, go get the coaches. It's worked out.
Turned into one of the best franchises in the league as Palmer throws. And that is a yard gain for Chris Johnson. I mean, they were the dregs of the National Football League for a long time. Came out here from St. Louis. Franchise started in Chicago. Came out in '88. Futility. Then they got to the Super Bowl in '08. Almost won. Lost to Pittsburgh. Won a playoff game the next year. Then a little swale period again. And now this is a team that, if the season stopped on a dime right now, they would be the #2 seed to Carolina in the NFC, which would mean they'd have a bye and a home game in the playoffs.
Yeah, Michael Bidwell is telling us a story of how his grandfather kind of saved the Chicago Bears a little bit. They were in financial trouble and came in and bought out somebody and then got his own franchise.
Back in the 20s and 30s as David Johnson gets around the corner and gets a first down to the Cincinnati 44-yard line.
Everybody's going to move a little bit left. Nice to have athletic guys up front. No question, Jared Valdir, Mike Upati, that's the best run blocking side on this football team. And this David Johnson, he's something, isn't he? It's amazing that he can't get on the field more. He's been so productive. Touchdowns running, receiving, kick returns. Just too many good players in front of him.
Third-round draft choice from Northern Iowa. And that's one of the reasons he doesn't see more action, because they needed to go out and get a #1 back, and they did in Chris Johnson, because Arians wanted to work David Johnson in a little slowly. Ellington was having hamstring issues. So they've got a nice little three-headed monster going on back there.
Yeah, and back-to-back years now, they pick up Jared Valdir from the Raiders. They get Mike Upati from the 49ers. And all of a sudden now, this team that couldn't run the football is pretty darn good running the ball with a lot of backs.
Second down and 2. Cardinals #1 in the league in yardage. And here's Fitzgerald, and Larry has another first down. Tackled at the 27-yard line.
Well, you better bring somebody other than A.J. Green out there. He's going to throw that one every single time. No way that A.J. Hawks is going to be able to get there on the outside. Just a nice read. That's just an automatic by Carson Palmer. He probably gave Larry Fitzgerald a little wink and threw it out there.
A wink and a nod, and it's a first down with 6:20 to go in the third quarter. Back to the ground, cutting it back inside, and that's close to a first down for Chris Johnson as he gets tackled, I think, about a half-yard shy.
Really nice job by Ted Larson on the backside, getting up on Vontez Perfect. We haven't heard a whole lot from him tonight. Here we go. He's going to sneak through here, and that's the key block for the cutback. Gets underneath him and just drives him right into the ground.
Gain of 9 on the play. Johnson 12 carries for 44 yards. Ellington is now the back on 2nd and 1. Palmer fires into the end zone, and it is caught. John Brown, touchdown Arizona. Back-to-back touchdown drives, 66 yards, 8 plays. Arizona has the lead.
The double move. You're going to see John Brown fake inside, then outside, then back inside, and just enough to get Denard off of him. Beautifully timed throw, and now you can see Carson Palmer starting to make some of the throws that made him one of the top candidates to be the MVP in this league.
You can also see how much you miss a guy like Adam Jones, having a Pro Bowl season at cornerback, but injured and not playing tonight. Touchdown confirmed, Extra point by Catanzaro with 5.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. But it took almost 40 minutes of playing time, but the Cardinals now have the lead. Arizona 21, Cincinnati 14 on Sunday Night Football. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you Thursday night. We'll be at Lambeau Field for Green Bay and Chicago, and Brett Favre's number getting retired at halftime. 5.5 to go, third quarter. Glendale, Arizona, 21-14 Cards. Back to the desert we come. Bengals trailing for the first time in the game. Start from the 20, and the ball is down and then picked up by Bernard. So Giovanni Bernard could not handle it, but is able to recover his own fumble. And that'll be a loss of 6, second down and 16.
You'll see sometimes running backs try and make a cut before they actually get the handoff.
And that's Rucker who is down for the injury timeout. Pretty clear that Marvin Lewis and the Bengals prefer the sunshine over the bright lights. 8-17 is their record in primetime games under Marvin. And their last 15 primetime games on the road, 1-14, only a 2012 win against the Eagles. 0-4 in the playoffs. So they're one and done in each of the last 4 years. And of course, that will be the story if and when they get to the playoffs in January. Whether the Bengals want to hear it or not, it is the story. Second down and 16. And that pass is overthrown. You know, Chris, you're an old Bengals. All I can think of is it's like Icarus flying too close to the sun with wax wings. The Bengals get under the lights. What happens? They get too close to the lights?
Who did Icarus play for?
He played for Carolina, I think.
Ah, yeah, Carolina's hot. They are good. You know, it's bizarre. I don't have any explanation for it. I don't think Marvin does either, other than the fact that you play really good teams in prime time. So a lot of times, they're just better than you are.
Didn't you study Icarus at Florida?
All the time.
What did you do down there?
Yeah, I eat licorice all the time.
Dalton is 0 for 6 in this half, and now he's going to get sacked at the 2-yard line by Dwight Freeney, the longtime Indianapolis star. Signed a couple of months ago here. Doesn't play that much, but they use him obviously in pass rush situations, and that's what Dwight Freeney has been doing for years.
Oh, watch the spin move right here. He might as well have a patent on this. Andrew Whitworth, one of the best tackles in all of football. No match right there. They're not using Dwight Freeney all the time. You get the feeling they kind of want to keep him around for one of those playoff runs this year. That was really cool.
It's 114.5 career sacks for Freeney. Good kick out of the back of the end zone. Pulled in by Peterson. And he's able to take the ball just across the 50-yard line. So the defense doing its job, and Arizona gets the ball back. Chris Johnson is the running back at the 49. And Johnson with another good run to the 41, however, another flag. Arizona 5 penalties tonight for 25 yards.
Offense number 76. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Mike Gipati, and we go to Michelle.
Well, Cincinnati corner Darquez Denard, who was filling in for Adam Jones tonight, went back to the x-ray room. He is doubtful with a right shoulder injury, had to have his right arm and shoulder supported the whole walk back. And safety Sean Williams also went back to the x-ray room. He is questionable with a right ankle. As for Frosty Rucker, the defensive tackle for the Cardinals, we'll update you when we have something official, Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. So the attrition taking its toll. And this Josh Shaw, a rookie out of USC, 4th-round draft choice, number 26, is in the secondary for Cincinnati. It is first down and 20 after the penalty. Tip incomplete. Second and 20 upcoming.
Yeah, and now the Bengals are so thin out there, you almost can dictate coverage. If the Arizona Cardinals choose to go 4 or 5 wide receivers on the field, well, there's no way the linebackers are going to be able to come down and cover one of those wideouts, and then you just come back and force them into a zone defense, know exactly what they're going to do.
Adam Jones, one time known as Pac-Man, but he's thrown that one away, but can't play tonight. Got beaten in a way by Hopkins for the touchdown catch the other night.
This looks like a zero blitz, everybody coming. Let's see if they do.
2nd and 20, quick flip. Fitzgerald out to the 47-yard line. And that will make it 3rd down and 14.
This is one of those where you just fire everybody. It's just one-on-one everywhere across the field here. But Carson Palmer, you can't hold the ball because there's one guy that you just can't block. They blocked down, and that time Dunlap was completely free, and so Carson had to get the ball out of his hands.
It's a 6-yard gain. It's 3rd down and 14.
Wonder if he'll do it again. Sometimes it forces the hand of the quarterback to throw it hot, and you just come up and make the tackle.
This time he keeps Ellington in the backfield with him. Play clock at 1. And the pass is caught, and that is J.J. Nelson again. Inside the 30 and out of bounds at the 18. J.J. Nelson. Sparkled at the combine. Fastest guy there. Has got a touchdown pass tonight. Big grin, gain of 36.
What a great move by J.J. Nelson. Watch him catch this ball and stop at the same time. And Kirkpatrick had to assume he was going to keep going across there. If this guy is only about 160 pounds, Al, he can stop on a dime. Even Larry Fitzgerald was kind of making fun of him the other day. He's like, yeah, you've got great moves, but you only weigh $150. I'd have moves like that too if I weighed that little.
The Cardinals so deep in receivers, and now a timeout is taken here with the play clock running down. 2:15 left in the quarter. Arizona by 7. Back after the timeout. It is a 1st down at the 17-yard line of Cincinnati.
Remember, this is the #1 scoring defense in all of football, the Cincinnati Bengals, but they are getting thin, and Carson Palmer is now taking advantage.
Keep it on the ground. Johnson swinging to the outside. Bengals have allowed 10 points in each of their last 3 games with 21 tonight. Perfect is there to make that tackle. 2nd down and long.
I tell you, you do not want to get hit by either one of these inside linebackers. Watch Vontaze Burfict right out here come screaming across here. I sort of lovingly call them hammerheads, but they get you in a phone booth, kind of a small area, and they get a shot at you. It is an uncomfortable hit. Big hitters, big downhill players against the run.
Perfect played his college ball across the valley at Arizona State. David Johnson in the backfield now. And Palmer will float one into the end zone. Caught! David Johnson, touchdown. Threw that one over Burfict. And the 2 rookies have scored the last 2 touchdowns for Arizona.
Just enough of a rub by Gresham here and forces Burfict to go underneath. And that was all David Johnson needed right there. Just a little bit of a distraction. But once again, because they just simply couldn't match up with some of these injuries, the speed of Johnson, the difference.
Beautiful arcing rainbow from Palmer, who's now thrown 4 touchdown passes tonight. Catanzaro for the point after. And 21 unanswered points in the quarter for the Arizona Cardinals. 3 drives this half, all of them culminating in touchdowns.
Right there's Burfict, going to get the route coming right down the field, and you see Gresham just enough. He didn't make a pick, but he forced Burfict to go underneath him. They were throwing a lot of balls to David Johnson the other day, and I was asking Carson Palmer about him. I said, he's pretty good, isn't he? He goes, yeah, but what do you want me to do? You know, Andre Ellington had the game winner the other night. And Chris Johnson's one of the top rushers in the league. It's just hard to get on the field. This team is as deep at wide receiver and running back as you will see, and now they're proving pretty deep at guard as well. They've been through a lot of those guys.
And running back, it's almost all across the board here. So 21 straight points. Yardage in this half Arizona 205 yards, Cincinnati 0. Points in the half, 21-0. Minute and a half to go in the third. And it's a ground ball that will be taken for a touchback. Well, 37 times Peterson has faced Green tonight, or each has faced each other. Only 4 times have they gone in that direction. 1 completion, 11 yards.
Yeah, it really hasn't been close. Patrick Peterson has dominated that matchup. A.J. Green's had trouble getting off the ball. Peterson a little more physical tonight, and A.J. Green just unable to take advantage, and that has really been a huge part of this game. A.J. Green is such an important part of this offense.
The pistol this time. First time they've used this formation. And that is caught. And that time they go to Green. And he picks up 12 and a first down.
That's one of the few times that we haven't really seen Peterson get his hands on A.J. Green. And so Green returned the favor and gave him a little pushback. He was exasperated by the end of that as well. He thought he should have had the foul. A little unsettled in that secondary right now.
Yeah. Moving around with a minute to go in the quarter. And Dalton hangs in there, fires, and that's caught, and that's close to a first down. Caught by Eifert. We go to Michelle again.
Well, Cardinals defensive tackle Frosty Rucker not on the field right now, questionable with a right ankle injury. The athletic training staff spat at his ankle. He ran around on it. He wasn't comfortable. He went back to the locker room for further evaluation. So questionable, Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Josh Morrow, number 97, free agent out of Stanford, will take his spot. Ed Stinson is also in there as well now, and Dalton throws, and that is caught, and then Jones is able to get away from a tackle. Gerard Powers could not wrap him up. Marvin Jones has a first down at the 39-yard line.
Yeah, and I think that's one the Bengals are going to have to try and get after right there. Gerard Powers is the one guy that's given up some plays the last couple of weeks, and Marvin Jones is a big play guy.
Well, already with Rucker now out, you got Calais Campbell with the knee down, and that's the reason for the clock stoppage here.
We are getting on to that time of year, aren't we? That a lot of times it's just last man standing, whoever has the most healthy bodies. But these two teams really have played very few players this year as a sign of just how healthy they've been.
In fact, Cincinnati has used the fewest in the league, 51, and Arizona tied with Minnesota for second fewest with 53, but a little attrition taking over tonight. So the clock will be wound here, and what will be the final play of the quarter is Dalton shoveling it to Bernard, and he gets taken down at the 32-yard line by Minter. And we go to the fourth. End of 3, Arizona 28, Cincinnati 14. Sunday Night Football resumes after this. Val Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle DeFoya start the fourth quarter, second down and 4. And swinging to the outside, Bernard. It's taken out of bounds after he picks up a first down at the 21-yard line.
Just gives him a little bit of that edge. That's the one thing that Giovanni Bernard, I'm sure that at the end of last season, he saw what Jeremy Hill was doing. He saw just how well he was playing. Probably wondered whether or not he was going to get much playing time. And he has come back with a vengeance this year. He has just been tremendous from opening day on.
At the 22-yard line. Blitz coming, and it gets paid off. Buchanan firing through. The guy who has the number of a safety and plays linebacker at 211 pounds gets the sack.
And he looks like a running back on this one. Watch this move coming right down Broadway. Try to get a block on him, does Giovanni Bernard, and doesn't even get close. Just a total whiff. Look at that move. Looked like Giovanni Bernard making a move on Dayon Buchanan, but it was the other way around. Great play.
Had a sack last week in the Sunday night game at Seattle. 2nd down and 21. Sanu is in there. The Wildcats, second time we've seen this, but might be a delay of game. So that's what it is.
5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
So that stops that trick.
Seems like the Bengals have had about 6 second or third down and 25s in this game.
Yep.
You can't come on the road and play a quality team like this and not give yourself every opportunity to win.
That was their first accepted penalty of the second half. 2nd and 26. Blitz again. Walton throws down the sideline, and it is Marvin Jones who adjusted, but then couldn't hold on. 3rd and 26.
I have no idea what happened to Marvin Jones on this play. Right up the boundary. Just stumbled or bounces right off his shoulder pad.
Got inside position on Powers.
Well, that's what they should be doing. That is their next best weapon on the outside. Marvin Jones. Try and match him up on Powers and take your shots.
Jones has been limited to 1 catch tonight. Justin Bethel covers Jones this time. And Dalton fires over the middle, and that will be caught by Marvin Jones, but he's still short of the first down. They needed 26 and got about 22. So it's 4th down and 4.
Yeah, usually when the quarterback calls for one of those deep crossing routes, he also says, come on, O-line, I need about 5 seconds on this one, and they delivered, which is what allowed him to get open down the field.
Well, 13 minutes left, but they're going to go for it on 4th down and 4. Down by 14 points. Crowd rises as 1. And no flag. Almost. Cards almost jumped offside. Dalton hangs in, fires, caught, and that's a huge first down. Mohamed Sanu makes it 1st down and goal.
Well, that time they saw Dayon Buchanan coming up in here for another one of these blitz, and they slide the line over to get him this time, which is going to give Dalton time to get that one off.
And then they wanted to run another play in a hurry, but Rashad Johnson just got hurt, so there's an injury timeout.
It's a big drive. The Bengals are going to have to finish this one to stay in this ball game. Really, there's no signs whatsoever that their defense can stop Carson Palmer and the Cardinals, at least in this half.
So Johnson out means Tony Jefferson, who plays a lot anyway, comes in, along with Ty Matthew at the safety spots. 10th play of the drive coming up. 1st down and goal at the 6. Four receivers set to the right.
And about 5 defenders out there.
They go 4 by 1. Take a look at this formation.
AJ one-on-one.
And Dalton's going to run a draw and take the ball to the 1-yard line. How many times have you seen a 4 by 1?
I've never seen it defended that way. They had 5 defenders out there. They just didn't have enough people in here. I mean, you know, Cincinnati just had more people than they did. Everybody was a one-on-one block. You're lucky that Marcus Golden made the play that he did. There's 5 guys, and there's only 4 of them out here. You don't need all those guys.
Those detached formations coming out of that Hugh Jackson playbook. And then Hill is able to barrel his way in for a touchdown. Oh, and then you got a little extra stuff going on in the end zone. Matthew and Hill, teammates at LSU. No love emanating from the Bayou tonight, as Cincinnati makes it a 1-possession game again.
You know, sometimes you just have to get back to power football, and I think this has been a really good breakout game here for Jeremy Hill that he needed. He had a couple of fumbles earlier in the year, and Hugh Jackson put him on the bench. And I was talking to Hugh about it. He said, I hope I didn't freeze him up, because he really did not come back with the kind of runner that I thought that he would be. And Matthew and Hill going at it. There you go.
Hill already had a personal foul, a costly one tonight. Extra point, Mike Nugent to make it a 7-point game. So a big 4th down conversion. Hill gets into the end zone, 28-21 with 11:26 to play. And coming out of the end zone is David Johnson, who scored the last Cardinal touchdown. He takes the ball to the 21-yard line.
Well, Carson Palmer against his old team, the Bengals, was not a good start. You just wonder maybe he was a little too amped up for this one in the first half. Interception to Leon Hall, and then this one's really kind of hard to explain, period. But then he started getting settled in. Carson Palmer looking off the safety, coming to the backside, and John Brown for the touchdown. A little bit like he did last week on the touchdown to Jermaine Gresham in the back of the end zone. He's starting to manipulate those safeties a little now.
Palmer has now thrown 11 touchdown passes over the last 3 games. From the 21, play action, sliding left and then throwing incomplete as we go to Michelle.
Well, Al, the Bengals, who came in without their best corner, Adam Jones, will now be without his replacement the rest of the way because Darqueze Dennard has been downgraded to out with that shoulder injury after getting x-rays, and Sean Williams has been downgraded to doubtful with a right ankle injury. So a corner and a safety down for the count right now. Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. That means Josh Shaw is going to see more action. Rookie means Kirkpatrick will stay in. Hall will stay in. Reggie Nelson, the other safety. 2nd down and 10. Ellington is the running back. And Andre Ellington will not go anywhere. Vontez Burfict is there. Arizona, well, one of the pals that Bruce Arians brought with him, Tom Moore, who's been around for a long time. Great guy, 77 years old. So many years in Indianapolis as their offensive coordinator. Of course, it was a lot of fun working with one Peyton Manning. As Tom used to say, what do I tell him? I just give him concepts.
Give him some concepts. But Bruce Arians said, I love Tom Moore. He said he's the one guy I can go, I won't use the word complain to,
right,
after practice, because he won't go tell his wife. All these other young coaches, they go home and tell their wives, and then I get in trouble.
3rd and 10. Just get the play off before the clock expires. And then a flag will be drawn by J.J. Nelson. In a big second half, Dre Kirkpatrick covering on the play. That was a 3rd and 10.
Pass interference, defense number 27. Automatic 1st down.
Very interesting call here. Let's see if this is pass interference or a slip. That's a slip.
Mm-hmm. Not even a combo platter.
Nope.
Giveth and taketh tonight on these penalties as Palmer goes down, but they get the 1st down up at the 37-yard line. Johnson swinging to the short side of the field and gets banged out of bounds after a pickup of 7 yards. Reggie Nelson with the tackle. 2nd and 3.
You know how they take offensive linemen out for dinner if you're running back? They got to start taking Larry Fitzgerald out too. Big old guy, about 220 pounds. He had a war last week with Cam Chancellor, the linebacker, but he has really embraced that Hines Ward role where you come out on the end of the line of scrimmage, lead blocker. They don't try and fool around, disguise it. He is the blocker. And because of that, Bruce Arians said, he goes, when I get a choice who I'm going to draw up my favorite play to or a touchdown play in the red zone, give it to Larry Fitzgerald. He deserves it.
Hines Ward here tonight to watch Larry Fitzgerald go over 13,000 yards in receptions, 12th year in the league, and splits out here on a 2nd down and 3. This is Johnson. He gets up to the 45-yard line, under 10 minutes to play. And there's Reggie Nelson, who had to come out for at least a play. Leaves the play before, so you've got Deron Smith, a rookie out of Fresno State, 6th-round pick, now playing safety.
This is unbelievable. I mean, they're going through people in the secondary left and right. If Bruce Arians realizes this, I would send as many receivers as I could get on the field. Looked like a little helmet-to-helmet shot may have stunned him.
I would bet Bruce has recognized it.
He doesn't miss much.
No, 3rd down and 2. And then Palmer stumbles, has to back away and then throw it away. So Bengals got a big break on the stumble. And it's 4th down and a punt.
Yeah, well, really, Paul Gunther had no choice. He didn't have anybody to cover, so he had to just go ahead and blitz. Sending everybody after Carson Palmer. It looked like Mike Upati stepped on Carson Palmer's foot. And that was a big play.
Sure did, as Butler comes in to punt. Brandon Tate calls for a fair catch and collects it at the 17-yard line. 9:01 left in regulation in a 7-point game on Sunday night. Nine minutes left in regulation. Andy Dalton starting this drive from the 17-yard line. 4-man rush. Almost get to him, and then he fires the pass along the sideline, and no. A.J. Green is there. He thought he caught it inbounds. Officials confer with each other, but they are going to rule it incomplete. 2nd down. Left knee's down as he secures possession of it.
Marvin Lewis has one guy in the press box that decides whether he should challenge or not, and apparently he said no.
And that guy is right. 2nd down and 10. On a stunt up front, and then it's incomplete off the fingertips of Giovanni Bernard to make it 3rd down and 10.
Boy, that hurts. You get the matchup you want on the outside. You get Giovanni Bernard matched up on Kevin Minter, and he can't make the catch. That one hurts.
Dalton 14 of 26. 207 yards. And a big 3rd and 10 here.
It's like 12 guys on the field.
Yep, Arizona
Second
has to use a timeout, so they're now down to only 1 for the rest of the game.
It's a good matchup, though, isn't it? I mean, both these teams clearly have the kind of talent that they're going to compete for it all. They're going to be in the playoffs, and they're going to have a chance to win a game if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, hopefully. This has been quite a sore spot for Andy Dalton and company.
It's interesting, if you look around the league today, not one quarterback has thrown for 300 yards. Joe Flacco, whose season ended with an ACL at the end of the game today, threw for 299. Nobody else has thrown for 300. That hasn't happened in 1 week since 2000. But tomorrow night, of course, Tom Brady or Tyrod Taylor could throw for over 300 as Buffalo meets New England in the Monday Nighter. 3rd and 10. Could also, of course, happen before this one is over. Here comes the blitz. He loses the ball, and it's taken away. Marcus Golden came in, and then it was taken away. Deion Buchanan comes up with the recovery. They brought the house, and Deion Buchanan winds up with the football.
This young man right here is going to be a special player. He kind of reminds me of James Harrison a little bit. A bigger body, but he has the ability to use those hands, swat him down. He has had all kinds of pressures this year. Hasn't really translated into sacks, but boy, did he pick a good time for that one.
2nd round draft choice rookie, played his college ball at Missouri, and Buchanan is right there for the recovery. So the ball is at the 10-yard line, and it's 1st down and goal.
Give this crowd a little assist as well. It sure helps when those tackles can't hear the snap count.
Chris Johnson swinging to the outside, taken down by Burfict. 2nd down and goal from the 7.
Haven't heard a whole lot from Carlos Dunlap tonight either. He had a little shoulder injury a week ago and wasn't overly productive. There you go. That is, it's fun to watch young players coming up and doing good things. Marcus Golden is a guy that really has a chance.
Spot the ball on the 8-yard line. David Johnson is the running back.
Whoops.
And a sack, and then the ball almost comes loose.
I think it did.
They have. McCauley and the group looking in.
Wow, Sinline gave up a little pressure, but then hustled back.
Well, the Cardinals are indicating it is theirs, and it is. So they are able to retain possession here. Palmer losing the ball and then may have recovered it himself.
Well, Michael Johnson's been very disruptive here tonight. He's going to get a little pressure. The ball definitely came out. Geno Atkins there to follow it up.
Had Michael Johnson in there as well. And Palmer got a lucky bounce right back into his midsection to retain possession. 3rd down and goal now at the 14-yard line. A lot of movement in that revamped Cincinnati secondary with all of the injuries. Cardinals 5 wide here. Quick throw. Fitzgerald to the 6-yard line goes Larry. So it's 4th down, and that will compel a field goal attempt to try to make this a 10-point game.
But a significant field goal there too. There's Marcus Golden. They really, their pass rushing unit has gotten much better. It has really gotten. Okafor came back. Golden is playing well. Dwight Freeney had a sack tonight. That was kind of the missing element on this team, but those guys have really picked up the pace.
Chandler Catanzaro played his college ball at Clemson, 2nd year, 24-yard attempt to make it a 2-possession lead. Butler puts it down, and the kick is good to make it 31-21 with 6.5 to go in the desert on Sunday Night Football. Bengals best in the league, allowing 16.9 points per game. Tonight 31, which is one more than they've allowed in their last 3 games composite, giving up 10, 10, and 10. But tonight down 31-21. And Catanzaro's kick. Tate's going to run it back from deep in the end zone. And Tate will be taken down at midfield, and the ball comes out, and it's loose at the 43-yard line.
They're saying he's down.
The Cardinals come away with it, but the question was he down? Britton Golden comes away with the ball. Tate got tackled from behind. Was he down is the question. That's Justin Bethel, great special teamer, coming in from behind.
Boy, what constitutes the ball being out? Is it out at knee down? Whoa, there's the replay for you.
So they are going to say that he was down at the 50-yard line, and the only way Arizona could get it overturned is by challenging.
The knee looked like, the right knee looked like it was down, but was the ball coming out or not? It was right at the moment.
Arizona has challenged, but the runner fumbled prior to being down by contact. Timeout.
All right, under the hood goes McCauley. New York taking a look at it as well. And the verdict when we come back.
After review, the runner's knee was down prior to losing control of the football. Arizona is charged with their 3rd and final timeout.
Well, a lot of things just happened on that play. Cincinnati retains the ball. Arizona out of timeouts, which means they can't challenge either. Left knee down, still has control. Ball comes out, but after the knee was down.
Great play by Justin Bethel, though, to almost get that thing out of there. Really pretty amazing that Tate was able to hold on to it.
58-yard run back because he brought it back from 8 yards deep. And so at midfield now, first down, 6:18 left in the fourth. Rashad Johnson, who was shaken up last time the defense was on the field, back in at safety, and Dalton's going to get ridden down back inside the 40-yard line. Rodney Gunter coming through the middle, blasting through with a little help from his friends.
Everybody's coming. Here's Mentor, here's Gunter. Everybody's just has a gap. And let's give some credit to James Betcher. He has not backed off of this, mostly because the Bengals haven't had an answer for it. And Andy Dalton now, who is used to getting the ball out of his hand in just about 2 seconds on every time, is getting to the point now where he's starting to see it.
10-yard sack for Gunter, a rookie from Delaware State. And then that's caught out in the flat, and Bernard is able to slip a tackle and get a first down. Huge play. Got away from Powers, and on a 2nd and 20 winds up with a 21-yard gain.
What a move. I mean, this is a backpedal move. I don't know if I've ever seen this. He comes to a stop and is going to just back up and let Gerard Powers run right by him. He literally went backwards and restarted. Great play.
He has to go to the bench for a play, does Bernard. Jeremy Hill comes into the backfield. Marvin Jones sets up on the right side. Blitz coming again. Dalton going deep for Green, and he can't make the catch. He and Peterson going down the sideline, step for step. 2nd down.
So much of these battles come down to hand fighting at the end. Watch A.J. Green try and wheel his hands around to get on the good side of him. I thought he was going to get there, just missed.
Peterson looked like he got a little shaken up, favoring his ankle at the end of that play. Stays in though. No, he just came out of the game. 2nd down and 10. So Dalton now, can he exploit that? Instead he goes to Jeremy, or he goes to number 33, Rex Burkhead, fullback, makes his first catch. As Green also got shaken up. So there's Peterson and Green as well on the sidelines. 3rd down, 3rd and 3.
Tyler Eifert's been quiet here lately as well. Marvin Jones seems to be their best matchup on the field right now.
Eifert's caught 2 passes tonight, only 2, one for a touchdown though. And Dalton fires to the outside, and that is caught. A flag is down though. Sanu makes the catch for the moment to move the sticks, but the flag is down back at the line of scrimmage.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Defense number 28. Penalties decline. First down.
That's Bethel, so the play gain 9 yards. They take that, and with 4:13, it's a first down.
Up down at the bottom of the screen here. No doubt.
So now Green comes back into the game, but Peterson's not back into the game, which means Powers, who Green beat badly in the first half, has to cover him.
And it's man coverage over there. Here comes the blitz.
Dalton fires over the middle, and that's a sliding grab made at the 10-yard line. And you can see that Green is in some agony, but is able to hold on. First down. Is Peterson limping around on the sideline?
Well, you get the matchup that you want up here. You just have to take advantage of it. Nice job. That is a tough catch. As soon as he turned around, that ball was on him.
He's hanging in though. It's 1st and goal. The ball at the 10-yard line. Dalton fires and incomplete. And Green takes another shot that time. Powers covering. 2nd down and goal.
But now you're starting to see Andy Dalton get the ball out of his hands as Patrick Peterson's still trying to recover over there. This is what he's going to have to do, because we've seen no sign that James Betcher, the defensive coordinator, is going to back off these blitzes. So you just have to get it out.
2nd and goal. Peterson trying to get loose enough to get back into the game.
They're giving some help on Tyler Eifert at the top here.
Dalton to the end zone, and that'll be caught for a touchdown. Eifert again, his second catch, touchdown grab of the night, and 11 TD receptions for the tight end. The 50-yard run back sets it up, and they move in to close in on a 3-point game after the extra point.
And here comes Up looking into the flat, but there was really nobody in the flat. I thought he might settle back underneath that, and instead really sort of went out to cover nobody, and Eifert took advantage, and he took a big shot.
Eifert now tied for the league lead in touchdowns with Devontae Freeman of Atlanta with 11.
Gutsy drive there by Andy Dalton.
Mike Nugent for the extra point. And the Bengals close to within 3 with 3:44 left in the fourth. Everybody in agony at this point in the game. Green, Peterson, Eifert, standings. Cincinnati will either be 9-1 or 8-2. If they're 8-2, the Pittsburgh Steelers would be pretty happy about that. There's still one game between those two to be played. In the West, you've got Arizona at 7-2, and well, with a victory by Cincinnati, Seattle would be 2 games back after losing last week to these Cardinals, and Arizona and Seattle will end the season, the regular season, here.
It's been a good game here. 2 really good teams, 2 teams I'm sure we're going to see in the playoffs. But there are some interesting developments. I'm sure people in Seattle are paying full attention, and people in Pittsburgh. This is big for both of those teams.
So let's see how Peterson got hurt. Not been back in the game since, and this will be downed in the end zone by David Johnson.
Boy, how big was that Brandon Tate return, non-fumble that really set the table? And here we go, the Bengals top scoring defense coming into tonight, and Carson Palmer in the second half really has just torched them. They need a play and they need a stop now.
Palmer 4 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. Those came in the first quarter. Good clean pocket, and then the pass is incomplete. Good coverage intended for Chris Johnson. A.J. Hawk, the linebacker, covering on the play, 2nd down and 10.
Leon Hall, one of the really good slot corners on the outside against John Brown, who is, as we've seen tonight, an absolute handful. Trey Kirkpatrick on Larry Fitzgerald, and these next 2 downs are really big.
Arizona with no timeouts. Cincinnati has all 3. Johnson cuts it back upfield. Close to a first down, a little bit short. Going to be 3rd down and half a yard. Hall a little slow in getting up.
Great job by Fitzgerald coming down, but watch this cut. Just as he gets to the outside, he's going to set up. Who's that? Kirkpatrick, and then just rip by inside him. We saw that one in Seattle a little bit too. He's so fast, you have to respect the fact that he can get out and around you, but then that quick cut up and got close.
3rd down and 1. Palmer milking as much of the play clock as he can. Under 3 minutes to play. And a huge stop for the Bengals on a 3rd and 1. They give it to Johnson. So they'll get the ball back plenty of time, all their timeouts, plus the 2-minute warning. That's not even an issue right now. 4th down.
Had Reggie Nelson coming on a safety blitz, and had Ray Malaluga, one of my hammerheads, just coming up and drill this one. You got Reggie Nelson coming in from over here on this side. Just one-on-one, and there's Malaluga able to make the play. It's really interesting how specialized every position is now. You know, you have run stuffing linebackers, you have run players on the defensive line, you have coverage linebackers. You just have to have one specific skill, and you can make it in the National Football League.
Timeout taken by Cincinnati. 2 plus the 2-minute warning. You got Tate back to accept this kick from Drew Butler. Good kick, fair catch. 16-yard line. Down by 3. They have the ball at that spot. 55-yard boot by Butler. 3 game-winning fourth quarter or overtime drives for Andy Dalton. We go to Michelle.
Well, Frosty Rucker will not return after having his right ankle evaluated, and Patrick Peterson is officially questionable with a left ankle. I can tell you he is really disappointed on the sideline. Not able to put much weight on that at all, Al.
There he is, Michelle. You see him on the sideline. It doesn't look like he'll be back in. A.J. Green, who's been hurt, he hangs in there. Dalton's going to run out of the pocket and get taken down at the 23-yard line by Marcus Golden. Chases him down from behind. 2.5 to go. Second down.
Boy, Marvin Jones had a nice little move on the outside and looked like he was running free down the field. Andy Dalton just did not see him.
Justin Bethel is guarding Green at second down and 4. And Dalton fires to the outside. That's caught by Marvin Jones. And that moves the chains. First down up at the 33-yard line. Clock stops 2:08.
Well, we saw Dwight Freeney get Andrew Whitworth once. Let's give Whitworth a little credit for one here. Set up, and I think in part because Powers was run by Marvin Jones on that previous play. He gave him a lot of room for that out route on this one.
Dalton is thrown for 277 yards at the 32-yard line. Pump fakes, gets it away, and nobody is there except linemen. Pressure put on that time by Minter. Second down and 10.
Yeah, good recognition that time by Calais Campbell. It's not always physical feats that win the day. Sometimes Calais Campbell, watch him just slip right underneath. He recognizes screen, jumps out in front of Bernard, and nowhere to throw the ball.
At the 32. Now Powers covers Green at the bottom of the screen. Bring the house again. Dalton throwing deep and incomplete.
Boy,
flag is down.
Powers just went right to the throat of A.J. Green.
Flag down.
He'll use some hands to the face. Defense number 25. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Started to say
that is the 2-minute warning.
Just beyond the line of scrimmage. It's a first down. 1:58. Officially the 2-minute warning in a 3-point game in Arizona. First things first. First and 10. 37-yard line. Cards 18 straight games they've won with a fourth quarter lead. Make it 28. 28 straight. Longest current streak in the league. Can they keep that one rolling? And Bernard gets away. And he's inside the 40. And to the 32-yard line. And already Cincinnati in field goal range, but thinking about a lot more right now.
Good shake and bake right there by Giovanni Bernard. One-on-one against Kevin Minter again. Minter can get him coming out when he has to block him, but the other side is equally a mismatch. Giovanni Bernard one-on-one too much. And you just wonder now, are they going to start thinking about too many blitzes?
30-yard gain. Dalton goes over 300 yards. And down the sideline, and incomplete, intended for Green. Covered there by Bethel. Second down. Nugent keeping warm on the sideline.
Mike Nugent's not been one of the most consistent kickers anymore. It seems like if you're not over 500 as a kicker from 50 yards or more, you're not any good. He did have a 57-yarder, though, in the playoffs last season.
Peterson just can't get back in. 2nd down and 10 at the 33. Play clock at 3. Ball to the outside, hauled in, caught. That is Marvin Jones making the catch about 3 yards shy of the 1st down.
Well, there you are. Now you've got the big moment in the game, because you pick this up, you basically can control the clock the rest of the way out. If you don't, you've got to try a long field goal.
3rd and 2. And down the sideline, and broken up and incomplete. Bethel is there, got a hand on it. Green is pleading his case.
A.J. Green caught it.
He
Just
did.
a matter, I think his foot hit the pylon, though.
Bethel is there. He winds up with the ball. Everything goes flying there.
Yep.
Bounces off his shoulder pad, and then he's out.
Good call. Now big kick.
So this will be a 43-yard attempt. Cincinnati bench trying to get New York to look at it, but they already have. And now you've got the play clock running out. Did they get a timeout?
Second charge timeout, Cincinnati.
They did.
30-second timeout.
With 1:08, you had the bench saying, you know, look at the Green play, which they did.
Yeah, once you kick that pylon, though, it takes care of that. Patrick Peterson, boy, nobody more competitive than that guy. And here he is with the game on the line, and he can't participate.
Could have been picked. Everything flying around there. Pylon, stuff inside the pylon. So a 43-yard attempt to tie the game. Clark Harris snaps. Kevin Huber holds. Mike Nugent from 43. And that will tie the game with 63 seconds. Arizona will get the ball, but they will not have a timeout.
It's like, how do you practice for a 3-foot putt to win the Masters, right? You get in these situations, you're the hero or the GOAT. That was a really solid kick, though, by Nugent.
31 all. Arizona at 1.21 unanswered points. 2-touchdown lead. Back come the Bengals. No wax swings for these guys tonight.
Well, now you know Carson Palmer would love to stick it to his old team one time here. He's going to have an opportunity, not an easy one without the timeouts. But this is a sophisticated offense, and Carson Palmer, a veteran player, has been brilliant in these situations so far this year.
Michael Bidwell, president of the team, Steve Keim, the GM. Mike Brown on the other side. All these guys through the ringer tonight.
Wonder if Mike had those earplugs in when he was talking to Carson Palmer.
It's a good question. And the kick will be run back by David Johnson from 4 yards deep. Good coverage as he can bring it back only to the 16-yard line. Cedric Pierman makes the tackle. 58 seconds and no timeouts.
Well, you want to go down and get the field goal and win this game, but at the same time, You don't want to take too many big chances. This is a time when maybe an Andre Ellington coming out of the backfield, get a couple of drive starters going, and then hustle the line of scrimmage. He is sort of their Giovanni Bernard.
Ellington in the backfield. Palmer over the middle. Out to the 34-yard line. J.J. Nelson makes the catch on his breakout night. Hustle to the line of scrimmage from the 35-yard line. Palmer fires, and that's caught by Fitzgerald. And Larry will get out of bounds, throwing the ball out of bounds to stop the clock. And just like that, they're into Cincinnati territory. Catanzaro loosening up.
One-on-one against Leon Hall, and they're getting close now. Tell you the other guy I got to give a little credit to, Bobby Massey. He's done a good job on Dunlap in this one.
At the 47-yard line. 34 seconds. Palmer fires. Fitzgerald into field goal range to the 26. Now he wants to spike the ball. Stop the clock. Clock ticking down to 20. And a first down at the 26-yard line. So already within Catanzaro's range, clearly it would be a 44-yard attempt if they gain area yard. 18, 19, and 20-yard completions from the arm of Carson Palmer.
There were a lot of people that thought maybe Larry Fitzgerald was washed up. He had knee and various injuries the last couple of years, and all of a sudden now, when it matters most, he has been huge this year. Here's Massey on the outside against Dunlap. He's gotten it done tonight.
That's 8 catches tonight for him for 90 yards.
Third and final.
Cincinnati takes
timeout.
its last
Cincinnati
timeout. I'll tell you what, Arizona's given us a couple of thrills the last couple of weeks. They win last week 39-32. 62 points total tonight in this one as they try to get to 8-2.
And I volunteer to come back to Arizona anytime you want.
You're in.
Pretty nice place out here.
And Lewis has watched his team giving up a collective 30 points in the last 3 games, yield 31 already tonight.
How about those play calls by Bruce Arians? 1, 2, 3, right down the field, right in field goal range.
And Palmer now has 317 yards tonight on 20 of 31. And they're just going to take a kneel down here. And then he'll spike it here. Might be a good idea to try to kick the field goal on 3rd down in case you have a botched snap.
Whoops.
Oh, boy. That's not what you wanted. But they're going to call this one on Cincinnati.
They are, and I think they're going to say that they were simulating the count.
And that'll stop the clock with 6 seconds. So this would make it about a 40-yard field goal if indeed the call is on Cincinnati.
Right
unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 94, calling signals out in an effort to draw the offense into a false start. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
That's more than a 5-yard penalty. Half the distance here. That's Domatov Peko simulating the count, and that's going to make it a chip shot field goal for the win.
Only because the umpire in the final couple of minutes moves in behind. He can hear what's going on. Now when he's on the other side of the ball, right away, he knew exactly what happened. He heard it. Great piece of officiating.
This makes it a 32-yard attempt for Catanzaro to, in effect, win the game. And the kick is good. Officially 1 second remaining in the game.
Best offense in the league tonight against the best defense, and it was the best offense winning out. Clutch kicks on both sides.
Fitzgerald's reaction. There's another big game for him, and look at that. A.J. Green can only look and watch his team go down to its second straight defeat after starting the season 8-0.
So close. A.J. Green was so close to that tip by Justin Bethel.
Well, you still need one more play to end the game, so in all likelihood you'll see one of those bouncing kickoffs, you would assume. Boy, that makes for a long ride home, doesn't it? You lose a game like that.
Well, and that call was just so significant.
Sure.
If it had been on Ted Larson, then they're back there on the brink of field goal range. Instead, it's a huge penalty the other way and ends up like an extra point.
Yeah, it would have been about a 44-yard attempt is what they were setting up for, and it winds up to be a 32-yard attempt. So Catanzaro will send a ground ball to the 30-yard line. Now you should see a bunch of laterals here. Sanu has it. That's almost a forward pass, but it's ruled a legal pass, and Bernard will try to throw it away. And sooner or later, you would think, but who knows? And they've now whistled it dead. Back at the 29-yard line. Wild one. Started out pretty slow. First half of the second half was crazy. And the Cardinals go to 8-2, lead their division by 3. The Pittsburgh Steelers are pretty happy about this. All of a sudden, they're kind of back in the division hunt, down by 2 with a game yet to play against the Bengals.